longing. I wish to be close to my beloved. I dream to walk in the streets of Medina and to quench the thirst of my spirit by visiting you, O Muhammad. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Habibi ya Nabi Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Habibi ya Nabi Allah, ya Rasul Allah. I left all my troubles and worries as I entered your mosque so gently. And as I finally stood there before you, I couldn't stop my tears from falling in your presence, oh Muhammad. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Habibi ya Nabi Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Habibi ya Nabi Allah, ya Rasul Allah. Oh Taiba, your breeze is so blessed. Indeed it brought life back to my spirit. I've left my heart with my beloved, sending blessings on Muhammad. Oh Taiba, your breeze is so blessed. Indeed it brought life back to my spirit. I've left my heart with my beloved, sending blessings on Muhammad. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Habibi ya Nabi Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Habibi ya Nabi Allah, ya Rasul Allah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear sisters, my dear daughters, welcome all of you to this, the start of a new episode about the biography of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, from the book The Sealed Nectar. And it is just a summary of the book around the important events that happened during the life of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. This is for your reference if you wish to have more details through reading this book, The Sealed Nectar. Actually, it gives me great pleasure to be with you today with the start of studying the seerah of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. It gives me a great honor to sweeten my lips and my tongue by talking about Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us devotion and acceptance in during our study in this lecture, and to God benefit from the lessons that we're going to have from this biography, inshallah. And at the beginning, I would like to usually remind myself and remind all of you that why we are studying the biography of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Actually, we are studying the biography. It's just not to tell stories. I'm not a storyteller. Actually, what we're going to have is the lessons from the story of the life of a Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, since we love him. All the Muslims love Prophet Muhammad, and we love him because he loved us. And we know that from the Quran and from the Hadith that came to us describing the feelings of Prophet Muhammad towards us, even all of us, those who he didn't see during his life. And the Hadith is Hassan, came in the in the Sunnah by Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was sitting with his companion and telling them, I wished that I meet my brothers. And then the companion was astonished and surprised and told him, are not we your brother, Prophet Muhammad? He said, no, my brothers is people who will come after me. They have believe in me and have a faith in me, but they didn't see me. So Prophet Muhammad actually loves us, loves all the people, all the Muslims came after all these years after his death. So we love him because he loved us and he's caring about us all. Also in Surah Al-Tawbah, in the Surah Al-Tawbah, we find at the finishing or near the end of Surah Al-Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. Certainly there is a messenger came from yourselves, from yourself. He is a mankind, from the mankind. He's not angel. He's not from other, no, not other creatures. He has the same feelings as us and have the same circumstances and experiences like us. And at the same time, difficult for him to see us suffering during this life is making him difficult. And harisun alayhi, concern over you, concern all over the Muslims, alayhi salatu wassalam. And to the believers is compassionate and merciful. This is Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad loves all the Muslims. Prophet Muhammad, he wished all the people to be Muslims. He wished all the disbelievers to enter Islam. Because of his merciful heart, because his kindness, because he came as a lifesaver. He came as a lifesaver for all the people, for all the whole world. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran, we didn't send you except is a mercy for all the people. So that's why he wished that all the people became Muslim. And many ayat in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling him, don't bother yourself, don't put much on yourself. This is everyone is choosing his fate, everyone is choosing his way. But for him, he loved his ummah, and he loved all the people, even the non-Muslims, and he wished them to enter the Islam and to be saved from the hellfire. Also, if we have to know why we love Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, we have to obey him. When we love him, we have to obey him. And obeying Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam will give us the way to two main things. The first thing is to obey Allah, or to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have the love of Allah after obeying him and his messenger. In Surah Al-Imran, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ مِنْ ذُنُوبِكُمْ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, if you truly love Allah, say to them, Ya Muhammad, O Muhammad, say to them, if you truly, to the believers, if you truly love Allah, follow me, ittabi'uni. Allah loves you. So if we want the love of Allah, so we have to follow Prophet Muhammad, because this is the way that Allah will love us. Also, obeying Prophet Muhammad will make us enter the paradise in Surah An-Nisa, وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning in this ayah that the one who will obey Allah and His Messenger, he will enter the paradise with the prophets and with the truth teller and with the martyrs and with the righteous people. And what a happy companion to be with all those great people in the paradise. Also, we study the biography of Prophet Muhammad to live our life. We need, my sisters and my daughters, it's very important to have a reference. We have to have a reference of what all the doings and all the sayings in our life. And the reference should be the Quran and the Sunnah. Because unfortunately, by time, maybe we have the reference according to everyone according to his country, his culture, his tradition. Sometimes you find that the tradition and culture is pressing even on the Islamic foundations that we should follow. So what are the references we should follow? This is what we're going to learn from the seerah and from the story of Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad's story will teach us what is life, what is our aim in life, why we are here, why being created by Allah, what's our mission in life, what should do, what is the things will help us to do our mission as mentioned by Allah and His Messenger, and what is the rewards at the end, what will be the rewards of the mission and of all the efforts we will do in this life. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the start of these episodes to make it a blessings on you and me, and to make it in the scales of good deeds of all of us, inshallah. And ala barakatillah, we're going to study we'll see the first of the beginning of this episode. We'll now talk the goals. The goals is very important to set the goals for our studying the biography of Prophet Muhammad, and why we are studying the biography. And as we mentioned briefly at the beginning, that one of the most important things that we are studying the story of Prophet Muhammad, that we want to have the role model, to have the role model. Now the role model to all of us may be different. Maybe it is an actress, maybe it is a football player, maybe it is a TV program programmer, or all of us have our role model, but we should have the reference and the original role model in our life to be Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, and how he lived his life, and how he made all the sacrifices he made for us in order to have this deen and to have this religion, and how the struggles he faced. Studying the seerah also is to know our glorious Islamic history. We have a glorious Islamic history. We have full of many merciful and greatness from the Sahaba, from the companions, and from Prophet Muhammad. And even after Prophet Muhammad, when we are speaking about the time of the conquest, we find that many things happened by the Islamic people and the Islamic armies, and how they put the foundations of the human rights during the war, during the battle. It was the first done by Islam. We'll pass all through these things to be proud of our Islamic history. We have a very rich and very respectable Islamic history. Studying the seerah and the life of Prophet Muhammad also will help us to understand Quran, because many of the surahs of the Quran related to the events that happened during the life of Prophet Muhammad. And a very important aspect is to see the Prophet Muhammad. This is what I mentioned before in the promo, how to see Prophet Muhammad. You will not, of course, see him face to face, but we're going to see him through his sayings and through his doings, and how we'll try to imitate and attach to his teachings as much as we can. This is the broad lines that our goals will focus on this year. At the beginning, I would like just to give this slide in order to give you a background about the geographical distribution of the Arabian Peninsula. Because if we're going to speak about the Arabian Peninsula during the time of Prophet Muhammad, it included all these areas. It included the part of the Kuwait and part of the south of Iraq, and also the south and east of Jordan, include all the Yemen now, all the Oman, and Qatar, Bahrain, UAE. So all these were not present. It's just present the Arab Peninsula. All this included the Arab Peninsula, and the Yemen, only maybe the Yemen is the south part of the Arab Peninsula, and it was known at that time by the Arabs that it is the Yemen. This whole area, the Yemen and the Oman and Yemen, all were having the south part of the Arab Peninsula as known as Yemen. And here the Sham is this area, the Sham including Palestine, including Lebanon and Syria, and the north part of Jordan. So the Palestine and Jordan, the north part of the Jordan, and the Lebanon, Syria, all that countries at that time was known as Bilad Sham or Sham. So if you going to hear me say Sham, so Sham means these countries here. And if I'm going to say Yemen, so Yemen will be this, Yemen and Oman. This is just a quick pass through the geography of the Arabian Peninsula at Prophet Muhammad time. Before we start is the beginning of the story of Prophet Muhammad, I would like to take you in a quick glance over the background of the Arab Peninsula before Prophet Muhammad came. What was the society? What was situation is present? How we can just having a judge on what's happening. So first of all, we'd like to speak about the political situation. The political situation of the Arabian Peninsula before the Prophet's birth. It was autocratic rulership, brought about encroachment on the rights of subordinates, ignorance, inequity, oppression, and hardship. This is supposed to be the type of political situation. They had neither, the Arabs, I'm speaking about the Arab, all the Arab Peninsula, they had neither a king to sustain independence nor a supporter to seek advice from or depend, because actually they were different tribes. They were different tribes, and all the time there's supposed to be battles and wars between them. It's not a kingdom, it was not a republic, it was not something are all gathered under a certain, and in every tribe there is an autocratic rulership. So they are different, divided, and in each tribe we have an autocratic rulership. The ruler of Hijaz, although were well esteemed and had the honor of following Abraham code for the Ka'ba's visitors, proved to be too weak against the Abyssinian invasions. Of course, here, when we come to Al-Hijaz, it means that around the Kaaba and this area around the Kaaba and Al-Madinah, and these areas is Al-Hijaz. When we are talking about the Abyssinian came from the Yemen. Yemen at that time was invaded by Abyssinian invasion, and there was a very famous king ruling them called Abraha al-Ashram. And Abraha will come to him in a few minutes, and about his story. So the rulers, as we mentioned, for them was not that strong. They were weak, the ruler of Hijaz, and strong were the ruler of Yemen, or which was invaded already by the Abyssinian invasion. When we come to religions, what were the religions of the Arabic Peninsula at that time, or Arabian Peninsula? Most Arabs had complied with the religious call of Ismail alayhi salam, the son of Abraham. It was all the Arabs since Prophet Ibrahim. Of course, we know the story of Prophet Ibrahim when he came with his wife, lady Hajar, with the Ishmael. He was still young baby in his mother hand, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the Prophet Ibrahim to leave the lady Hajar in the Kaaba, in the place now of the Kaaba in Mecca, and to leave her and to go. And there was no one except her and her baby. And when she was very anxious and she was afraid, and as a mother, she's caring about her baby. And when she told the Prophet Ibrahim, is this the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said yes. So she said, so he will not make us lose, or he will not leave us. He will support us by a way. And then she started to search for food and drink for her baby. She started to make the sa'i that we are used to do now in the Hajj and the Umrah, between the two mountains, the Safa and Al Marwa, 7 times. And at the end of the 7th time, then the Jibril came, the angels be just beside or beneath the foot of her baby, and start a well of water is coming, is Zamzam. So then after that, people came and started she has to live with other people. And then the Prophet Ismail, he grown up and he got married from those tribes that came from Yemen, who are the origin of the Arab at that time. The origin of Arab was a tribe from Yemen called Jurhum, Qabila Jurhum, or Jurhum tribe. And they were all on the monotheism at that time. Then after that, Prophet Ibrahim came and took and he had the order from Allah to build the Kaaba. He built the Kaaba with the Prophet Ismail, and after that time, he is the first one to pronounce for the Hajj and for the pilgrimage for all the Muslims at that time, and all the people were on Islam, like what we are doing now. But what happened? They remained around 300 years on the monotheism. But after that, chief of the Quraysh in the Mecca, his name was Amr ibn Luhay. He was from a tribe called Khuza'a. Amr ibn Luhay, actually, he was a trader, he was a merchant, and supposed to go to the Sham or Syria at that time. And they found at that time Syria and the Sham was under the Romanian Empire invasion. The Romanian Empire invasion at that time, the Bled Sham or the Syria and Lebanon and these things, and these countries. He found for the idols, he found some people of them, they are worshipping idol, in which he placed he brought an idol from them during his trading. He liked the idea of having an idol and try to worship him, and he brought from Asham or Syria an idol. His name was Hubal, and Hubal was one of the names of the many idols being worshipped by the disbelievers in Mecca after that, and placed it in the middle of the sacred house and summoning people to worship. So consequently, the polytheism and paganism became the most prominent features of the pre-Islamic Arabia. Here, what I want to say that the disbelievers in Mecca were not atheists, were not believing in God. They were believing that there is a God and there is Ilah, but they use these idols like Hubal and the Monat and the Lat, Al-Uzza, all these the names of the idols, just to be like an intermediate way between them and Allah. Just ما نعبدهم إلا ليقربونا إلى الله زلفى. We are not worshipping them except to make us near to Allah, as it is a middle station between them and Allah. This is, so as we mentioned now, we started with monotheism, and then after around 300 years, it turned to polytheism and paganism. Judaism had managed to influence pre-Islamic Arabia, as the total Jewish tribes at the time counted to as many as 20 near Yathrib. There was Jewish people near Medina, near Al-Medina. Yathrib is later on the Medina. There was Jewish people, pre-Islamic tribes, many tribes of the Jewish people there. Christianity, yes, Christianity, there were more prominence through the Abyssinian colonization. Actually, the Abyssinian, if you remember, we said the Abyssinian invasion to the Yemen, they were Christians. They were Christians, and that's why the south part of the Arab Peninsula were Christian, and they were on the Christianity. And another people called Dahriyun, or atheist. Atheist is in Arabic, of course, it's called the Mulhidun, but Dahriyun, that they are the people that said we were just living and we will just die, and that's it. Nothing else, nothing will happen, no God and no accountability, nothing. When we come to the social aspect of the pre-Islamic Arabian Peninsula, the society at that time was wholly patriarchal, which means that it was male dominated by men. They have the ability to do whatever they want. They are completely regulating everything in the society, the social life. The marriage contracts rested completely on women's local guardian, and there was abnormal marriage traditions, many abnormal. The woman may marry more than 10 people, 8 to 10 men, and then she have, of course, pregnant, and then she will choose of these men who is the son of, and tell you this is your son, this is your son, like that, haphazardly. And I wish, when I'm telling you about this, my sisters, just to focus a little bit of what's happening around us now. What's happening around us now from the social life, I'm telling you. Because you will find a specific points is present already now in these social aspects, pre-Islamic period. So to know how Islam changed and how Islam was the light after all these darkens we are describing in the all aspects, social and political and religious. So as we mentioned, that women often treated as commodity, woman was having nothing, no rights at all. She was being inherited from the father to the son, and she has she wasn't independent. She's not having her income or salary or whatever. She has nothing. Although that free women at that time much better condition than the enslaved. Of course, slavery was present, and this is very important point to say that slavery was present before Islam, and it was one of the norm of the society that to have slavery. People often buried their baby daughters in fear of poverty and shame. Tribal pride and unity of blood were the most prominent amongst Arabs. Frequent and bloody conflicts all the time there is. They lived in darkness and ignorance, relying on religious superstitions. Of course, when you find ignorance in a place, you will find the superstitions and the magicians and the magics and all these myths start to flourish. When you see in any society the methods and the superstitions and the magician and the jinn stories, all these things flourishing, it means that is an ignorant society. There is no science, there is no knowledge. There is no knowledge in such society. Economically, the economic situation, trade was the main way of ensuring economic prosperity at that time, as Mecca had the honor of the pilgrims and look after the sacred house, as well as the utility of idols in business. Of course, they were used to idols as a business, selling and buying, and sometimes they are eating the idols when it's made of date. Sometimes they are doing the idols made of date, and when they are hungry, you just eat the idol. Trading, as we mentioned, was the main income for the people in Mecca or in Hijaz, therefore conclude their overall income. There was the ethics, some good characters that we'll have to say at that time, despite of all these previous negative behaviors. Hospitality, of course, and generosity, they were very famous about their generosity, and one of them, his name was Hatim al-Ta'i. Hatim al-Ta'i, actually, he's a disbeliever and even died before Islam. But he was very generous, and he had just opening his house all the time for people to come and eat, and all the time is doing the barbecues for the one either they need or not. Also keeping a covenant. Keeping a covenant was one of the advantageous characters of them at that time. Sense of humor, firm will, and determination. Forbearance, perseverance, and gentleness at that time, and courage, of course. And courage came from the frequent battles they have, so they supposed to be courage to can go. So this was a quick pass through the different backgrounds of the Arab Peninsula before the beginning of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam birth. Now we are speaking about the lineage of Prophet Muhammad, what his father, his grandfather, and his lineage until Prophet Ibrahim, as we mentioned. And we just to know that his name is Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, Ibn Abdullah, Ibn Abd al-Muttalib, Ibn Hashim, Ibn Abd Manaf, Ibn Qusay, Ibn Kilab, Ibn Adnan, Ibn Ismail, Ibn Ibrahim. Ibn means son. Muhammad, son of Abdullah, son of Abd al-Muttalib, and so on. So this is the lineage of Prophet Muhammad till Prophet Ibrahim, and we can see that Prophet Muhammad came from Prophet Ishmael or Ismail. The only prophet came from Ismail was Prophet Muhammad, and we can see that Ismail is the elder son of Prophet Ibrahim, and Prophet Ibrahim has his another son, Ishaq, Isaac, where all the other prophets came from Ishaq. They belongs to Banu Israel, or the children of Israel. The only Arab prophet Ismail, being raised with the Arabs, as we mentioned, from Jurhum, the tribe. So all the lineage of Prophet Muhammad, they were honored people. They were known in their people until they have Prophet Muhammad. The prophetic family consisted of three main tribal names: Hashim, and Hashim is concerned with the food and water executive for the pilgrims. This is mission, their main mission. Abd al-Muttalib, one of the main leaders of the tribe of Quraysh, his grandfather. He was the leader of Quraysh. Quraysh is the tribe of the Prophet. And Abdullah is considered to be one of Abdullah's beloved sons, and being saved from slaughtering, as well as the father of Prophet Muhammad. So Abdullah is the prophet father, being saved from slaughtering like whom? Like Prophet Ismail. So that's why Prophet Muhammad usually said that I am the son of the two slaughtered, Prophet Ismail and his father. Because actually we'll just have to finish with this story about Abdullah, the father of Prophet Muhammad, that he was one of 10 sons for Abdul Muttalib, his grandfather. And actually Abdul Muttalib had an oath and vow to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that if he has 10 sons, he will slaughter one of them for the sake of Allah. And actually he had those 10 sons, and he decided to take in the oath that the youngest of them, he will slaughter him, and so Abdullah was the youngest. And actually he went to slaughter him actually, but the people of the Quraysh at that time, they prevented him and told him, are you mad? Are you going to slaughter your son? So he said, it's an oath. I made an oath by that. They said, no, we can make a alternative to that. And they start to ransom. In a long story, just they made a ransom for him by 100 of the camels. 100 camels to be slaughtered instead of slaughtering Abdullah. So that's why, and of course we know the story of Prophet Ismail. The birth of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, actually there was many stories coming in this event regarding the Hadithat al-Fil, or the year of elephant year, and what happened in this year, and what happened when his mother Amina bint Wahb, when she married his father Abdullah and she was pregnant, what happened to her, and what else happened all over the world during the birth of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. All these and more we're going to have inshallah next time. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحانك الله وبحمدك لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.